And over a couple days ago, Kevin Durant, arguably the best player in basketball, requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. And I mean, it's Kevin Durant. Every single team's going to give a phone call to try to get this man. A couple of days before that, obviously, Kyrie Irving opted into his contract, and everybody thought, all right, it's all good. KD and Kyrie are going to be back together this season. But that is definitely not the case. You got any initial thoughts on KD? Obviously, that happened a couple of days ago, so we've had some time to digest the trade request.
It was definitely a shock because it seemed like everything was getting back to normal. Kyrie signed his what is it? His fifth year opted in, and we didn't expect any of this to happen. We thought it was kind of going to be a kind of dull off season. Mitchell maybe, Rudy Gobert maybe, but that happened. I'm in the middle of Disney. You text me saying we need to get a pod now, and we couldn't. But that was definitely off guard. But it makes this off season very fun. So I'm all for it. And it's an Eastern Conference team, so I'm definitely all for it.
Yeah, and obviously, when you got a player like Kevin Durant, it's going to take a huge trade package. He has 4 years left on the contract. 4 years left on his contract. Therefore, I mean, he doesn't have as much leverage as some of these other guys, that have had 1, maybe 2 years left in their contract. He's got a full 4 years, And I mean, like I said, he might be the best player in basketball. So there's some conversations for other guys like Giannis, so on and so forth. But nonetheless, a top 15 player in NBA history, this might be the biggest trade package we've ever seen. And I mean, that's why we don't know how long it's going to take for the Nets to potentially trade him. I mean, because they're going to ask for a lot, rightfully so. And I mean, we just really haven't seen anything like this in quite a while. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you, what 5 teams do you think have the best to offer for Kevin Durant? Most likely landing spots for him.
So top 5 teams to offer, or top 5 teams?
Who do you think are the top?
Most likely.
What teams do you think are the most likely? Which 5 teams most likely to land Kevin Durant?
All right. 1, I have Warriors. 2, Miami Heat. 3, Toronto Raptors. 4, the Phoenix Suns. And 5, the Boston Celtics.
That is a very, very interesting list. In order for me, my 5 most likely is 1, I got the Phoenix Suns, the team he asked to be traded to. Number 2, I got the Toronto Raptors. Number 3, I have the Miami Heat. Number 4, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. And then number 5, I have the Boston Celtics. So you have the Warriors number 1, and I don't even have them on my list at all. I just don't see a world where Kevin Durant ends up back on the Golden State Warriors. I just don't see it happening. I know obviously they're going to get a phone call, but 29 teams in the NBA are going to get a phone call. I don't think a phone call means anything,
Yeah, for sure. But the reason why I had them number 1 is I feel like they always stay quiet and stuff, and I feel like it just happens. I feel like it's always the most unlikely stuff that happens with these big NBA players. So that's why I heard they were a little bit in the mix today. I thought they were in the mix way before that, but I'm sure they were. We just don't know everything. But that's just my sneaky. I think that's their number 1 odds, and they could offer Wiggins, they could offer Poole, Kuminga, Moses Moody, picks.
The one thing with Andrew Wiggins is he is on that rookie destination contract, right? Mm-hmm. So in case any of you guys are unaware, you can't trade for 2 players that are both under the rookie extension destination contract, something called something like that.
Wiggins is on that?
Wiggins is on that contract, yes.
Oh.
So they already traded in Ben Simmons. So in order for them to do a trade with the Warriors, which obviously would likely involve Andrew Wiggins, either Wiggins would have to get sent to a 3rd team, or they had to trade Ben Simmons away in order to do something like that.
See, this is what happens when I stick a few days away from the computer. You know what I mean? I didn't even know that. So that's just a bad take by me then.
Yeah, I mean,
my list would basically stay the same and just switch 5 to the Pelicans, and Warriors would get taken off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they obviously have assets that they could throw.
They don't have the cap for that though, to match it. If they can't trade Wiggins, that's what Wiggins was for, was the cap match.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, no matter what trade happens, I would be very shocked if it's a 2-team trade. I'd be pretty shocked if it's a 3-team trade. I would expect some type of 4 or 5-team trade in order to get Kevin Durant because that's just how much they're going to basically request for him. And before I talk about some of the teams that I said, I want to tell you like an interesting trade offer that I've seen like on the internet, right?
Let me hear it.
Here, let me just pull it up real quick so basically it would involve the Brooklyn Nets getting a return of Donovan Mitchell, Miles Turner, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, and a boatload of picks, right? And this is a 14 trade, by the way. The Indiana Pacers would receive DeAndre Ayton in the sign and trade.
Okay.
The Phoenix Suns would get Kevin Durant, and the Utah Jazz would end up getting Ben Simmons. So, I mean, obviously the picks I'm not going to go too long with the picks, but basically if you look team by team, the Nets get Miles Turner, Donovan Mitchell, Mikal Bridges, and Cameron Johnson for Kevin Durant. The Pacers get Ben Simmons for Miles Turner and picks. The Suns get Kevin Durant for Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, boatload of picks, and they sign and trade away DeAndre Ayton. And then the Pacers would end up getting hold on, I just said Pacers get DeAndre Ayton and sign trade.
Did you put this trade in the chat?
I did, but I had swapped Simmons and Ayton.
So, all right.
Yeah, but then I forget what I was saying. The Jazz would end up getting Ben Simmons back for Donovan Mitchell, and they'd also probably get some picks back as well.
Danny Ainge would not do that.
It depends if Donovan Mitchell asks out, which we'll go ahead and talk about.
If he asks out, which I think he will. I think he kind of already did. I don't feel like it's a thing you ask out. I think it's just gonna be a thing that happens. Danny Ainge always tends to leak bullshit once they're trying to trade somebody. He said like 2 days ago, we're trying to build around Donovan. We're trying to have him here at least until next year and have these young guys around him. I don't believe that. That's him trying to up the trade value. I'm not saying he can't be involved in a Durant 4-team trade. That's very possible. But Ben Simmons, nah, that's not a Danny Ainge type player. He doesn't want a guy that's sat out a year, can't shoot the ball, hasn't been shooting the ball. I'm not saying he can't because I think he eventually can. But I don't think that's a player Danny Ainge would want for the Jazz, at least to start building a team around.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the Jazz later because they obviously made a big move already in this offseason. But, I mean, step back to Durant, right? Obviously, I had the Phoenix Suns first. I don't remember where you had the Phoenix Suns in your list.
I had the Suns third.
Third. I mean, I won't say I'd be shocked if he doesn't end up on the Suns, but obviously the Suns are his preferred team to get traded to. It would also have to be multiple teams. Mikal Bridges, possible DeAndre Ayton sign and trade, and Cameron Johnson and picks just probably aren't enough for a player of Kevin Durant's caliber. That's why you probably send DeAndre Ayton to another team and try to get like that all-star caliber player that's feel like they could build around.
Mm-hmm.
Like Donovan Mitchell, for example. But I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be him. But yeah, I mean the Suns, they're probably the most willing because they know he wants to be there. And like those assets are good players. They just need to find that guy who could be that star for them. Obviously, Devin Booker is going to be off the table because, I mean, the Suns want to build around him and KD. And obviously, just signed an extension. Therefore, he can't be traded this year. And they got Chris Paul to basically find the Suns. Everyone else is on the table to get a Kevin Durant. But I've heard they don't want to gut their roster for him. So it'll be interesting. They did sign a couple guys to 1-year minimum contracts yesterday. I forget exactly who they were, but might be a foreshadow for a trade. Who knows? But I do have that's my most likely landing spot for him.
Josh Okogie was one of the guys.
Yeah,
but I don't think the Suns. I don't think the Suns get it done, to be completely honest. I feel like they have enough to do it, but I feel like it's a team that has star players in position and wants to add Durant to that and gut the whole young core of a team, which is a team like Boston. I think it could be a Jaylen Brown type thing. I think Suns are definitely a possibility, but I think it's more of either Celtics, Raptors, and Heat. I think those are the teams where they want to – I mean, if I'm Nets, I want to trade them to Western Conference, but at the same time, I think the best offers are going to be coming from those teams. I don't think the Raptors are offering Scottie Barnes. You tend to think they are. I don't think they are. I feel like that'd be stupid. Because if I'm the Raptors GM, I want to have the rookie of the year next to one of the best players in the league. Like that's something that has to happen. If that's not happening, I don't want Fred VanVleet and KD. Like that's not going to win anything because it would have to be two players from the Raptors. You get what I'm saying? So Jaylen Brown seems like a player that like I think it's either Boston or Miami. To be completely honest, that's the closest teams I think that like, and it's going to be so weird. It's going to be a 4-team trade, 3-team trade, like you're saying, but it's going to be so weird.
Now, my second team was Toronto, and I'm be completely honest with you. I'd be shocked if it's not Toronto or Phoenix. I'd be completely shocked in that sense.
Sure.
If Toronto's not willing to offer Scotty Barnes, then they wouldn't be in this conversation. And their odds have been rising a lot in these books. You know, they are almost at the same odds as the Suns, and as a team that wasn't his preferred destination. I mean, I think that is saying something. I do think that they will be willing to offer Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby, so on and so forth to get Kevin Durant because, I mean, you wouldn't be in this conversation if you weren't going to give up Scotty Barnes, your best asset, for Kevin Durant. And, I mean, it would be interesting to see him in Toronto. These obviously, everyone knows Game 5 when he was with the Warriors in the finals. What happened when he hurt his Achilles in Toronto? The crowd was kind of cheering him on the way out. So it'd be interesting to see how willing he'd be to be in Toronto. Although I know he has talked about Toronto being a nice city, stuff like that before. But package-wise, the Raptors could arguably offer the best package as if it was a 2-team trade. Like I said, there could be more teams involved. But, I mean, if you get a player like Scotty Barnes to build around, like, that's one of the players that you do want to build around if you're the Nets and be comfortable with it for possibly a Kevin Durant. So that's why I have him second best. But like I said, I think there's probably, as long as he does get traded, because honestly, if Nets don't see in the package they like, they can wait. They got 4 years. But as long as he does get traded, like I expect him to be, I'd say there's probably an 80% chance it's one of those two teams.
I just don't see like and this is another thing. Kevin Durant is gonna have a say. I'm sorry, I don't believe the Woj thing where he's not gonna really get a choice. He is. I'm sorry. Why is all this KD stuff coming out saying, "Oh, I only want to play with the Heat if Lowry, Butler, and Adebayo's there"? His word's gonna have meaning. It is a top 10 player in the league, top 5 player probably. It's Kevin Durant. He's gonna have a say. He trusted them signing with them for a long term. He's going to have a say where he goes. And I'm not saying Toronto can't be that team, but if you're trading Scotty Barnes and VanVleet or Siakam with that, why would he want to go there?
I don't think
to Canada with all those things you just said and play with another bottom of league all-star like VanVleet or Siakam. They're not going to win anything. Why would he want to go there? Like Suns, I get your point there. That's the only reason why I would think Suns, because they won't trade Booker or Paul. They wouldn't want Paul, and I'm sure they would want Booker, but the Suns wouldn't give up Booker. It makes sense to go there. But as far as I can't see him wanting to go to the Raptors. And that's why it's so confusing, because I'm like coming back on my words. It's just I do not know where he's going to go. There's so many types of different words coming into it where it's either Durant's choice as well. It's a lot of stuff is factoring into it. And I think it's just going to be a complete no one knows. Nobody knows. It's impossible to know. Whoever's going to throw the most stuff at him and KD says yes to, that's what's going to happen. Obviously. But it's impossible to completely he's going to go. Because of course 15 teams are calling. I think KD has to approve a trade. I really don't think it's just going to be like you're gone. I don't think that.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, obviously, we don't know about his list because Woj has reported that the Suns and Heat are the top 2 teams on his list, but he did say there's the only 2 teams on his list, right? So we don't know what else could potentially be on there. Now, I don't think he would say no to the Raptors because overall they'd be a winning situation if he was to get traded there for, hypothetically, Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby, and picks type deal, right? But you say you don't think they're going to offer Scotty, but they traded DeMar DeRozan for a 1-year rental on Kawhi. I don't think
that's great. That's old DeMar DeRozan. They've gotten the best 10 years out of DeMar DeRozan. They're not going to trade the rookie of the year. They're not going to do that. And I'm guaranteed if the Raptors offered Scotty Barnes, the trade would be done already. They're not offering Scotty Barnes. I truly believe that. That trade would be done. Because to match the contract, it would have to be Siakam or VanVleet to match the contract situation. You'd get VanVleet or Siakam with the rookie of the year. The shit would be done already.
I completely disagree. I think Scotty Barnes 100% in the package, but it's Kevin Durant. Like I said, I mean, Scotty Barnes is a great piece, but it is Kevin Durant. He's worth a lot more than Scotty Barnes. Um, and,
100%.
and obviously, you said the contract wise. I mean, they might offer like a Gary Trent and also sent to another team to meet the contract wise. I don't think OG and Scotty meets it, but Scotty, OG, and Trent financially, I think does reach it. And I mean, the Raptors are a team that don't play a lot of players anyways, and I mean, they're just a weird team. They play with a lot of length, which Kevin Durant obviously would add to.
Sure.
I think there's some real smoke with the Toronto Raptors.
I think there's real smoke. Like I had them in the top 3, but I just don't think like I think what they want is a young guy. That's I think the main thing. I think they want a young star, which Scotty Barnes is, but I don't think they're offering you Scotty Barnes because I feel like that you can't get any better if you want a young star. Scotty Barnes, Rookie of the Year. He's great on both ends of the floor. Like I feel like that trade would be done already if Scotty Barnes was in it. I'm not saying Scotty Barnes won't get thrown in it in the future with more negotiations and decisions coming to an end. I'm not saying the Raptors might not just say fuck it, take Scotty Barnes, but I'm telling you right now that trade would be done if Scotty Barnes was in it. There would be zero reason for the Nets to not do it right now. Zero.
They have time on their side. They have time
For
on their
sure,
side. They're going to
like,
try to get the biggest package possible. I mean, you saw what Rudy Gobert went for. Like, KD's going to be worth a lot. He's going to be worth a lot. But
that fucked up the market, truly.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think the Jazz were trying to trade him. The Timberwolves just threw everything at him. Everything.
Next up, I think he's second on your list or on my list was the Miami Heat. Obviously, the other team that he reportedly wants to play for. I just personally don't think the Heat have enough assets for him, personally, unless they're able to work out the 4 or 5 team trade. Because I think what they got to hope for is, for one, the Nets like Hero that gets sent there. They have to hope that Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson can get some type of asset for them that they could flip to another team to get sent to Brooklyn, right? Just hypothetically speaking. And also other guys, like the one thought that I've had in my head is there a team out there that maybe has some backcourt problems that might maybe be willing to throw first for a combination of Gabe Vincent and Max Strus? Obviously, neither of them are worth close to a first in their own. But if a team be willing to, if a team wants backcourt help, right? Would they take something cheap like that he could then offer that first and like a Duncan Robinson, let's say, and flip it for a good player? Like I think John Collins is worth more than this, but maybe hypothetically that, and then you send Collins and Hero there. It's like something along those lines, right? Because Collins, I know, has been in trade block forever. Try to work something like that. I think it's the only way a team like the Heat could really get involved in this race if they try to do something like that. Lowry, obviously, he had a lot of interest last offseason from teams. Don't know if that'd be the case now, but if they can get some type of asset for him to flip to the Nets, I think that's what their goal would have to be in order to get Kevin Durant. I will say the longer this goes, I think would be more beneficial for the Heat, because I think that means they're probably talking to a lot of teams to try to do something along those lines.
Yeah, but I, as much as I want it to happen as a Heat fan, I just don't see it happening. But it's weird because Donovan Mitchell's there. We know he is. Someone close to him came out today and said he was looking at houses beachside Miami. Every player does that, but I take that with a grain of salt. But I just can't see Pat so engaged in something that's very unlikely when there's something sitting there like that would fit the team perfectly. That's why I think something's like already in the works with the Jazz, but I feel like he's just a backup because it is Kevin Durant. But it's just confusing that we haven't seen any reports that the Heat are out. But like, it would take a lot of things to happen our way for Kevin Durant to come to the Heat. It would take a lot. So I don't see it happening like you. I don't think that's happening. But what's confusing is why are we not out of it yet? And it just seems like Pat's trying to do a lot, and we just don't know because no signings are happening. You realize that? All these guys aren't. No one in that mid tier is getting signed right now. None, because of this trade.
Kevin Durant's going to hold the market, but I do think the one interesting thing is a lot of times the media is going to hold the leverage play, right? And it seems like a lot of the Kevin Durant talk with the media is between the Suns and the Heat, obviously the two main spots, but you see one report that like, oh, Kevin Durant only wants to be there if Lowry's there, for example, right? But then you see these other reports like going like different ways. It feels like a leverage play. The Nets aren't interested in the DeAndre Ayton signing trade. I mean, I think a lot of this is leverage play for both sides to get their price to where they want. So I think it's something interesting to kind of watch out for. I don't know how long this trade's going to take. I kind of think it's going to run into the middle of July until a trade happens, but who knows? Maybe a lot of times Durant likes this stuff happening on 4th of July, like we've seen before. So maybe tomorrow's the day something happens.
It ain't gonna happen tomorrow. I'd love for it to happen tomorrow because I just want this market to get going. Because I don't think it's happening with the Heat. So I just want this to happen so we could focus to Donovan Mitchell. You know what I mean? I want stuff to go down. I don't like this hold stuff. It just gets all these rumors are so annoying. You just don't know what's gonna happen. Everybody's talking out of their ass, and I just want stuff to start moving because we already have California League basketball. I mean, the season just ended, of course, but still, like I don't want to focus on this. I don't want to watch. It's almost football season. I don't want to watch these rumors. Just get this stuff done with. Just get it done with. And I know it's harder for Kevin Durant because it's going to involve several teams, and the Nets are going to get what they can get. But it's annoying as a fan.
Yep. Next team on my list is really the only other team I really see having a chance. But I feel like they're a bit on the back burners. The Pelicans, personally. I mean, if Brandon Ingram's involved, they get a chance to get him. Some people said that Brandon Ingram was the next Kevin Durant. If he's not involved, though, you can throw them out. But I think the Pelicans might be interested in offering Brandon Ingram. They would have a nice team if they were to. I mean, I don't think CJ Zion, obviously Zion can't be, but I don't think CJ Zion or Valanciunas would be involved in the Kevin Durant trade. And I mean, you add Kevin Durant to that trio, that is a very, very good starting lineup.
Yeah.
Maybe their point guard is, I don't know who their point guard or their other
Alvarado.
Well, Alvarado could maybe be the starting point guard. I don't know who else would be involved in the trade. Maybe someone like Ingram, Herb Jones, Kyra Lewis, maybe Dyson Daniels, Hayes. But overall, I think they have a package that could be sent for Durant. They also have a lot of picks from like the Lakers to Anthony Davis trade. But I think one thing is, would Kevin Durant be willing to play there? And on top of the fact as well, will they off Brandon? Will they try to keep going with their current plan? I think that's really the two main questions.
You know what bothers me is like you can't tell me the Pelicans can't get this deal done right now. There's no way. If the Pelicans call them and say, "Here's BI, the five first round picks we have in the next 2 drafts, and Dyson Daniels and Herb Jones, there's other role pieces," that trade would be done. I can't believe the Nets would be like, "All right, we'll think about it." That's not something you think about. That's franchise changing. That's what you'd get back for Kevin Durant. That makes sense. Just like if the Raptors opted Scotty Barnes with somebody else in picks, that would already be done. Like I'm telling you right now, but Pelicans would make sense. Like that's why I think KD has a say, because I feel like that trade would be done if the Pelicans want to do it. But I think they want to. I think they like what they're building. They like that they have 5 first-round picks with the team they already have. So I feel like they're just sitting, which it seems like right now, because it doesn't seem like they're talking much, but we don't know everything. But I think like if the Pelicans wanted to be a contender, they do that right now, and I feel like it doesn't get declined. Like I feel, or maybe they want to hold out for offers, but I feel like it's at the top of the list. So if that trade gets offered, it's got to be a KD say. You know what I mean? I don't think it's they have probably one of the best packages.
I will say, just hearing the way you're talking, I think you kind of are underestimating how much Durant's going to cost, because you keep saying if Scotty Barnes is offered, it's going to be done. If Brandon Ingram's offered, it's going to be done. It's going to take a lot more than those players, and this is the start negotiation. I think he's going to be traded for a lot more than that. So that's why, with you saying if Scotty Barnes there, it would easily be done by now. I mean, it's only like day 3 of free agency, of the negotiations with the teams. It's going to take a lot more of these players for it to be done right now.
I don't think it will be. I really don't think it will be. I think every team's trying to play hardball, but like they should. But I just feel like, dude, if you're getting offered Scotty Barnes, Fred VanVleet, what's beating that? You get the young player you want. Hero ain't beating that. BI ain't beating that. Who else is in it? Bridges and Aiden's not beating that. Like, I just feel like those types of moves are already done. The Pelicans could offer all those picks that are soon picks, and they love that. Picks this year are way more than picks in 2 years. We're value-wise. So, like, I feel like I don't know. I probably am underestimating it, but I feel like those trades, they're not getting offered, obviously. But I feel like if they could, they can get them done quick, or at least jump to the top of the board very quick.
Yeah. And I don't know how many board teams left you have on your list. I know Celtics I had 5th on my list, and that really just comes up, is Jaylen Brown available? If you're keeping Jaylen Brown, obviously make the finals this year. If you're willing to offer him for KD, that could be a possibility. If Jaylen Brown ain't involved, that's not happening.
Yeah, it's impossible. And it's all based on Jaylen Brown. But here's the thing: we don't know how Bradley Martin is as a GM. We know how Danny Ainge is. He doesn't have loyalty. He doesn't care. He'll get the best value possible, which Kevin Durant would be that. I'm not saying that deal would be done, but Jaylen Brown would probably be offered already. I don't know how Bradley Martin moves. So it's completely it's impossible to predict with Boston.
Brad Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
You said Bradley Martin.
Brad Stevens. Sorry, Bradley Martin's a YouTuber, isn't it? Losing my shit, dude. I've not gotten off sleep.
Just had to let you know that you're saying it wrong.
It's Brad Stevens. I know this. I'm Bradley Martin's a YouTuber. My bad. Jesus, I look stupid right now. I've been out of it. I've been walking for 3 days nonstop. I'm out of it.
Yeah. And did you have any other team that was on your list for Kevin Durant?
We'll take the Warriors off. I didn't know the Wiggins thing. That's about it. I mean, I sent you a whole list of the possible destinations. Did that at 2 a.m. one night because I couldn't sleep. The Bulls were in it, but Levine signed his contract, so no. Sixers, I don't think are in it, to be completely honest. If the best piece you're getting in that is Tyrese Maxey, I just don't see it.
Sixers would be interesting. I just don't see it happening. But the fact Harden hasn't signed his contract yet makes me wonder a little bit.
No. I'm sorry, but you're not taking if like you say, if Scotty Barnes is in a deal, Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey is not getting talked about. It's not. I don't care how many picks you offer because everybody's going to match that pick count. So I think Sixers are out of it. Bucks were in the whatever, but it's not going to happen.
They're never in it.
Yeah, I know. And then Nuggets, I think just too much injuries with Jamal Murray and a Porter. But
Michael Porter is on that contract, so
he is. So yeah, that's impossible. Now that I know about that contract, I made that the first night, so I'm not mad at myself for that. But anyways, I don't think they would do that anyways because all the injuries, and then the Nuggets would have to gut their roster just to have Jokic and KD, which would be great. But 2 players isn't going to win you a championship by themselves.
Actually, now wondering, is Brandon Ingram on that contract?
He might be.
If he is, then that wouldn't be able to happen. I'd have to look at that.
Yeah, he might be. He is because he was on the Lakers contract, went to the Pelicans, got signed there.
But I don't know if you get traded before you sign your extension, if that you get that contract.
I can't waive anything. That's after the rookie contract. Do the Pelicans have anybody else? Yeah. No, they don't. Zion, they did themselves. They drafted him. Yeah, I think BA's on that deal too. That may take that's probably why the Pelicans haven't done shit. And that's why we haven't been hearing Pelicans' name. That makes sense.
Try to see if I can.
So it's those teams with all those top players. So it's Heat, Celtics, and Raptors.
Yeah,
I think everybody else is out. Completely honest.
All right, I'm looking at a list real quick, and I don't see his name on here.
How though? He signed a deal right after the rookie deal. After his rookie contract, he signed a long term.
What it might be is he might have signed a 4-year deal. This for players that signed a 5-year deal, right? So maybe he has a player option or a 4-year deal that he signed because he got traded. He might not have been eligible for a 5-year deal.
Maybe. Okay. I don't know. All these rules are fucking stupid, by the way. All these little intricates. Just who cares? If it's under the cap, let it happen.
And just so you know, Jamal Murray is also under that. So Nuggets are
the Nuggets are just completely out.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, obviously Kevin Durant requested a trade. So what happens with Kyrie? Haven't technically heard he requested a trade, right? But it's going to happen. And I personally would be shocked if it's not LA. I mean, I guess they're offering Westbrook. Maybe Westbrook's like to a third team. But I mean, it looks that's where he wants to go. I think that's easy to tell. He wants to end up with the Lakers. Now, the question is, can they get a trade done? I've heard a potential is like Westbrook, 2 first-round picks, maybe Taylor Tucker. I don't know if I heard he's involved or not, for Kyrie Irving and Joe Harris. The Lakers are kind of balking at Joe Harris, which I think is crazy if you ask me, that they're balking at Joe Harris over Seth Curry. I'd take that deal and run if I was them.
No. They want Seth Curry more than Joe Harris.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't care about that. The fact that you can get Kyrie for that, I'm running.
That's why I don't think that's bullshit. Like, I was seeing tweets saying Lakers were going to do something, but they didn't want to include THT. Like, shut the fuck up. THT is nothing, dude, compared to what these guys are on their level. Like if there's a Westbrook Irving trade that's in talks and Lakers are declining any player thrown in like that's minuscule, I don't believe that news. I don't care. Like if it's Joe Harris to Seth Curry that's keeping you from getting Kyrie, you're an idiot. I don't think that's real. I think that's all fake news.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe the Nets want to move KD first before they decide to trade Kyrie so they can maybe fit the pieces around. I personally think Kyrie's going to get traded first. But I mean, hypothetically, if KD gets traded first, the market might open up for Kyrie for Dallas to potentially be involved. I mean, they might have to offer like Dwight Powell, Tim Hardaway, and picks. I don't know if that's better. I mean, that might be better than Westbrook. What people don't really want Westbrook's contract, it's expiring. I don't really know. The Heat could maybe
get
involved.
Nothing from Westbrook because the Nets aren't ready to win. So if the Nets do this, they're not going to win right now. They know that. They're not getting Westbrook. Well, why would they take Westbrook? They're going to get him for 1 year. He's going to leave. And you get what from that? It's got to be Westbrook and a bunch of, like, I'm not saying Kyrie's value is not there. I know that. But I'm agree with you. I'll trade Durant first because then the star players that are available, that list makes it way smaller. There's Donovan. I believe Donovan. And then Kyrie. So I feel like that's every team's third option. So I feel like you definitely got to wait till the Durant deal is done to make a Kyrie move.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Dallas could potentially be involved. I think Miami could potentially be involved if they don't get either KD or Donovan Mitchell. Maybe something around Lowry and picks, maybe Hero's involved, maybe not. These seems like Kyrie's value is very low. I mean, if you're potentially trading him for Westbrook and picks, maybe the Clips get involved. I don't know how close they would be to the hard cap if they have that activated. But I mean, they could offer players like Luke Kennard, Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson, etc., and picks to see if they could potentially get him. Those are really the four teams I think would be the most involved for Kyrie Irving in a trade.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I kind of be shocked at this point about the Lakers. There's too much smoke around that for it not to happen, in my opinion.
I think, but I do agree. I think the Nets make that KD trade first and see if value goes up on Irving, which I think it will. Not by a crazy amount. I don't think anybody's going to be offering 4 first-round picks like it was before. But he's a good-ass player, and the COVID restrictions are off this year. He's just off-court issues, which I don't think are off-court issues anymore. It's just a good-ass player, and if the Lakers have any chance of getting that thing done, get it done. There's nothing about that. If you can get Westbrook off your books and get Kyrie to replace him, get that done.
All right. I think that's enough Nets talk, personally.
Please.
But
hold up. Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Nets. What they need to do is what the Thunder did. Because they have these players that the Thunder had, and they didn't get to do that. Remember back in the day, they lost them all. They didn't get nothing from it. They need to know that they're going to be bad. They need to get all the picks they can get a young player or two, just like the Thunder did with SGA for Paul George and 10 first-round picks. They need to do that. They need to get young players, and that's why I think they're looking for young players. That's why I think Tyler Hero would be perfect for them. But I still don't think that's going to happen. But I think Tyler Hero is a guy that they would like. He's young. He's going to be there long-term. You won't complain about it. And you build around him. You build around him, and what else do they have there?
Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons is fine, dude. Everybody's hating on Simmons. Did you – hold on, one more thing. I'm sorry. We keep talking about Nets. Did you see that the Nets didn't think this KD shit was going to happen, dude? They did not. They traded a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal the day before. They thought they were ready to compete. They were getting the surrounding pieces, and then this shit happens? Well, that sucks.
That trade was announced a few seconds literally before the KD news.
Was it really? I thought it was a day before.
No, it was a few seconds. Literally seconds. Which makes me think they are trying to compete. I think they're going to try to at least compete for a playoff push, which makes me think they're looking for not just win-now players, but young win-now players that can develop. Yeah. Like, I think they're going to look for at least 2 young all-star caliber players for Durant. I mean, rightfully so. I don't know how you're going to get it, personally. I don't know how you're going to get to.
I think they can get the young player with potential, and I think they can get another star that's already there at his max potential, like a Van Vliet. But I don't see, like, what two players are like young stars that are on the same team.
Well, that's why I said it's going to be a multiple team trade.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Nets really messed this up. Like, how do you go ahead? You signed Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in free agency, and then 2 years later trade for James Harden to be on your team. and then they're only on the team for a year, you win one playoff series with them over a 3-year span with Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and then 1 year of Harden, or 1.5 years. You win one playoff series. Like, that's just unacceptable as a franchise.
That 2023 pick that the Jazz got from the Nets, was that theirs?
It's either theirs or Phillies. Because,
if that's theirs,
Phillies,
that is
Sixers.
bad, Zach.
Sixers.
That is bad.
The Jazz might have just got the fleece of the year if that's theirs.
I don't think the Nets are going to be that.
I don't think they're going to be a playoff team without Durant.
Probably not. But at the same time, they're going to get a haul for him. They're going to get a haul.
Yeah, but if they just got a top 14 pick for Royce O'Neal, the Jazz, they finessed. They've been finessing this whole offseason.
Is that protected?
No. Unprotected first-round pick, 2023.
Yeah, I don't know if it's theirs because they also got a first-round pick for Harden. I don't know if it's that pick or if they just used that pick. I don't think they did. But
Well, they could have. If they didn't know about Durant, then why wouldn't you? Kyrie just came back. Oh, it's all good. We're gonna be decent this year. Let's get Royce O'Neal. Try to be better. No, that's crazy. Jazz have had one of the best offseasons. Them and the Celtics have had the best offseason so far.